Hi, welcome to the Linux Virtual Lab. In last session, we studied about VI editor and some of the syntax that can be used for shell scripting. We wrote small programs in our classroom sessions. We'll proceed further with the further syntax or the statements and the structures required to write a shell script in Linux. We discussed if-else command, if and if-then statements. So as in the screen you can see if the command is nothing but the test case, then commands again and fi. Every if has to be closed with an fi. So this is if else, again if command, then commands else commands fi. So this is a nested if. So whatever nested ifs we use, so we start with elif. So if the second condition with elif, the third condition with elif, but for all the elifs we have one single fi. So all the if conditions or if statements to be closed with fi. Now this is an example. Here we are checking for the date. So if the date is found properly, so it will display it worked. So this is a very simple example of if statement. We can use if statement for testing some conditions. So where we will be testing say numbers. So this is a numeric comparison where we use eq for equal to. So this is how we see equal to, ge for greater than equal to. So for every condition we use a hyphen. Hyphen eq stands for equal to, greater than equal to, greater than, less than equal to, less than, and not equal to. So this is how we test the numbers if whenever we want to compare some numbers. We'll have a look at the examples of this. So this is an example where we are testing the numbers. We have two variables, val1 as 10, val2 as 11. So if the val1 is greater than 5, then we display the message that the value of val1 is greater than 5. And close the if statement here. Again, if the val1 is equal to val2, then we display that the values are equal, else the values are different. So this is a simple program where we are comparing the numbers. So this program you can execute in the shell script as we had done in the practical. We saw how to write a program in Linux using shell scripts. So this is a small program that you can try and check the output. So you should get the output as displayed in this echo statements. Similarly, we can also compare for the string. So when you are comparing for the string, we use the operators here. So string 1 equal to string 2. It will check whether string 1 and string 2 are same. The string 1 and string 2 are not same, less than or greater than. Now here these things are checked on the basis of ASCII characters. So it will check for the ASCII numbers and decide whether the number is less than or greater than the if the string is less than or greater than the another string. So in the basis of the ASCII letters it will check. So this here hyphen n string length, so it will check whether length has greater than 0. Hyphen z string, so it checks whether the length of a string is 0. So these can be used in different programs where we need to check the string length or compare the strings, and for example the programs like palindrome and all. So these test commands can be used in such programs. So again, few examples on this. So this is the example where I have the variable test user and assign the value as Devendra. So here in this statement will check whether the user is Devendra or not. If he is, then we display the welcome message here. So this is example 1. In example 2, again there is a message, but here we are using a else. So if the user is confirmed, then it will display that this is not a user, else it will display that it is a if the value is not equal to what is being specified here. Now $user, this is an environment variable that holds the value for the user, whoever user is logged in. So if this user is there, then only the statement will be displayed, otherwise there will be an error. So similarly, we have file comparison. The file comparison is required in different cases where you want to check for a file whether the file is available or not, or the file is readable, or the file is empty, or writable, or executable. So for different conditions, we may require to check the state of the file, whether the file is there. So we use the test commands as file comparison commands. So we have the various options here, parameters here. So -d will check for the directory, whether directory is available or not. -e will check for a file, whether the file exists or not. -f will again check for the file, whether the file exists and whether it is a file or not. So -r, whether the file is readable, whether the file exists and is readable. -s, whether the file exists and is not empty. -w, the file exists and is writable. -x, file exists and is executable. Capital O, whether the file has been owned by some the current user or the group. And you can check the file whether file is not newer than the file 2. So you can have two files here where you are checking which file is the recent one. So these two options can be used here, -nt and -ot, that is newer than and older than. So again we have some examples on this. So this is example one where we are checking whether the home directory exists or not. So -d $home. So if the directory is available, then it will display the directory exists, or it will display there is some problem with the directory. Now the $home carries the directory information or the directory name of the user who is currently logged in. So if the user is not logged in, it will not display the value. Now here we used -d. You can also use -e as the option that will work for both files and directories. So here it is checking for the directory, whether the directory exists or not. So if the directory exists, if it is a file or not. If it is a file, it will display this message, otherwise it will display this message. So you can have nested ifs. So if within if, and again within if you have a if. So you can try and execute all these programs in the Linux. Example 3. Now we are storing all the file names, the shadow file in pw file. Now shadow file consists of all the details of our password. The shadow file has the password in an encrypted format. So it will check whether the file exists. Now here pw file is acting as the variable and the shadow file is being stored as the value for this variable. So we'll check whether the file exists or not. So $pw file. If the file exists, then it will check whether it is writable. Readable. If it is readable, then we display the last line of that file. So tail is the filter command that allows you to check the last lines of the file. So if there is some error with the reading of the file, then it will display the error message. So this is how we check the file. So these file comparison can be used in various cases where you are dealing with files, checking whether the file exists or not. If the file exists, whether it is readable, writable, or executable, or if a file is older than or newer than the existing file, and so on. So example 4, to check whether the file is empty or not. So here what we are doing, we are storing a file name, some name in a variable. I am creating an empty file with this name. So touch $file will create a empty file with this name and check whether the file exists and it is empty or not. So if the file has some data, it will display this message, otherwise it will display this message. The second part of this program can be done is you add some content into the file at runtime. So we are redirecting these into the runtime. So date is being redirected into the file, and here it will check again if the file is empty or not. So if the date is saved in the file, then it will display this message, otherwise it will display this message. The second one. So example 4. Now in some cases you may have to use two conditions. In if you may have to check for two conditions. So here we require some compound condition testing. So this is same as what we do in C and Java. So condition ampersand for check the AND condition and OR condition, two pipes. Okay, so this is same as the use is same as what we do in C and Java. The only difference here is you have to specify the conditions in square brackets. So here's an example. So here, if the directory home exists and under the directory home there is a testing directory, then it will display that file exists and you can write to it. Okay, so the checks whether the file exists and it is writable or not. So if it is not, then it will display the error. So similarly, you can use OR condition for checking various conditions in if statement. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Try and execute all the programs that are given in this video in Linux, the Ubuntu that we have. If you have any doubts, so you can always get back to me. Thank you for watching the video.